Hello, this will be a really short video just to apply these ideas of the renormalization group equation that we have seen in the last few videos to QED, right? It's also a chance to see how we would derive a renormalization group equation to something other than a green function. And the object we will focus on is the electric potential, in this case in momentum space, right? What we want to do with it is to write a renormalization group equation that essentially demands that this guy does not depend on the renormalization scale, right? Of course, since this is a directly measurable quantity in our theory, right? The main difference to the green functions is that since this is directly observable, right? The normalization cannot change when I do the field strength renormalization, right? When I redefine the fields, there's no factors of Z that can show up in front of V because V is measurable, right? So if we do the same we did before, in order to derive the Kalan-Zimanzik equation, we'll get a fairly simpler, more simple equation given by the partial derivative in relation to m, because of course, as I change my renormalization scale, I'm changing the point in which I define the physical charge, right? And also I'll have a change due to the charge itself, right? Since I'm redefining, and ER here means renormalized charge, right? I mean, just carrying this R, so you remember that now I'm not defining this charge at Q square going to 0, which is the one we usually do, and then this is, I mean, E square will be close to 1 over 137, you know? So it's not that one. We are defining here ER at an arbitrary scale, right? So the change in that scale is compensated by the change in this charge, right? But that's pretty much it, right? The electric potential will only have these two changes that need to compensate each other, right? In order to keep this equation true, right? And that's it. So that's the equation we want to look at today, right? This is the RGE for the electric potential, right? Instead of the Kalan-Zimanzik, which were applied to green functions. Now we can do the same trick we did before in the case of the Kalan-Zimanzik, right? If you do a little bit of dimensional analysis, you see that the dimension of this guy is -2, right? Just think of the Coulomb potential, and you see, right? And again, since I'm again dealing with a massless QED, right? I'm still not introducing masses in my theory because I'll have to do this carefully in the context of the RGEs, right? We know that by dimensional analysis alone, there should be ratios between Q squared and M squared in here, which allow me to exchange the derivative of the derivative in M for a derivative in Q, right? This momentum here. And Q in this context will mean only the module of momentum in the Euclidean region, right? This is positive. Okay? So I can rewrite this equation. Again, this trick is the same we used in the last video. So you can go there and take a look if you don't remember what I'm talking about. But I can replace this partial derivative by derivative in Q, right? This term is the same. There was an overall minus sign that I compensated here, right? And I get this +2, which is coming from this dimension, right? So same trick we used last time. And that is a nice one because it allows me to write this equation in terms of the physical momentum, which is good, right? Also, in the last video, we saw that there is a pretty general solution for equations of this kind, right? We saw, I'll repeat here just for it's easier for me to repeat than for you to go look at the previous video, right? We found a general solution to this equation, minus beta del lambda minus 2 gamma applied to G2, right, is equal to 0. And the solution to this was G2 of K lambda equal minus I over K squared, G, some initial condition for this function, which is written in terms of lambda bar, the running coupling, right, which is itself a function of K, and some reference point, some reference value defined at M, right, times the exponential of the integral that integrated over the field renormalization all over the scales between M and K, right? So this goes from M to K, d log of K prime over M, that's the integration variable, and you have gamma of lambda bar. I won't repeat here, but lambda bar is a function of K and lambda. So this was the general solution to this, right? And we have, as you can see, a very similar equation here. It's just that gamma is essentially 0 because the potential does not renormalize. I mean, the normalization of the potential itself is fixed, as opposed to the green functions, which get factors of z to the minus half to some power, right? So in this case, the solution is much simpler, because if gamma is 0, I don't have to care about this exponential. It's just something like that. And if you remember this small factor here, this factor in front, I can put in or out of this function. I can define it conveniently, right? In this case, I defined it in this way to get explicitly the free theory propagator here, right? And in the case of the potential, then the natural thing to do would be to have a Coulomb-like potential right here, right? So the solution we'll use to this equation is that VQ, of course, of MER, right? These two things are defined together, right? Is 1 over, that's 1 over Q squared times some initial condition, which is calculated at E bar of Q, and you have the reference value for the charge, the renormalized charge here, right? So that's the general solution we use. Let me put a box around this, right? And you can, of course, substitute these up here and see that it works. Of course, in order to do that, you have to know what E bar is, right? And of course, it's the same thing as before. E bar of Q ER is the solution of another equation, right? Which again, we can take for the general thing. It's just the beta function, and ER is the same as the equation that we had for lambda bar here, right? And the equation is this one, log of Q over M of E bar is equal to beta of E bar, right? With the boundary condition, the initial condition, that E bar calculated M ER is equal to ER, which defines ER. That's the implicit dependency between ER and M, right? It's this equation. So I just have to solve these three equations, and then I can get the potential, right? In fact, the potential is not that interesting because it's quite trivial, right? As we know, the way to get these initial conditions is to expand both sides of this equation perturbatively, right? And then we'll get that VQ is approximately, right, E square Q square, right? Which means, again, since I can do that, that's what in order to do that, I just calculate this at M, right? And of course, that can be done for any value of M and ER. And again, I will get that VIQ is just, if at this point it needs to be just E bar over Q square, right? So at neighboring points it needs to be E bar square plus some correction of higher orders in the charge, right? So essentially, if I find the behavior of E bar, I know how the potential behaves, at least in the neighborhood of this point M, right? And so it's much more, the really interesting part here is really solving this equation. Let me just write explicitly here the field, the potential is just this, and at this order does not depend explicitly on M. All the dependency on M is hidden here inside E bar, right? The implicit dependence through the definition of this guy, right? So now let's go for the really interesting part, which is to solve this equation, right? We have calculated a few videos ago the beta function of QED, right? And that is just e to the cube over 12 pi square, right? That was 1 or 2 videos ago, in 2 videos ago. At leading order, of course, there are higher order corrections, right? But at one loop, that's what you get, right? Now I just have to take these, put here, right? I'll get, let me copy it down here. But now it's E bar, right? And then I just solve these, right? It's a separable equation. I can just write that as 1 over E bar cubed dE bar is equal to 1 over 12 pi square d log of Q over M, right? Which is readily solvable, right? This is just minus half of 1 over E bar square is equal to 1 over 12 pi square log of Q over M plus some integration constant, right? And the integration constant comes from, it's behind my head, from this equation, right? So I just have to substitute everything, substitute Q for M here. To be careful, I use the little m here. This is big M, is the renormalization scale, right? So I just have to put M here. The log goes away. You just get that C is, you just have to solve this, and C is minus 6 pi square over ER square, because when I put all Q's to M, E bar becomes ER, right? And so the general solution to this is that you have, now I bring this C to this side, put everything together, that becomes 6 pi square 1 over ER square minus 1 over E bar square equal to this log of Q over M, right? And now I just have to isolate E bar to finally get the solution I wanted, right? So E bar square of Q is equal to ER square 1 minus ER square 12 pi square times the log of Q square over M square, right? I just took a, instead of keeping a 6 pi square here, I took a power of 2 inside the log to get something more similar to what we had before, right? Let me put a box around this. So if you go back all the way to the videos about the photon self-energy, you find exactly the same expression, right? With a few changes, right? I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's an equivalent one, right? Well, a few changes you'll notice here. So our Q square here is defined as the minus the Q square that we had there, because we're defining this guy as positive, and this is what was positive there, right? So that's one difference. The second one, we didn't really make the massless approximation over there, but you see that you can go back to that answer just by choosing this scale to be proportional to the electron mass by some constant A, right? Which is the exponential of 5/3. This is approximately 5, right? Which means we're just 5 times above the electron mass, which justifies our massless approximation here, right? But the important part is that this running electric charge now came from the renormalization group equation, right? In which we have the clear interpretation of this being the charge that you actually measure, right? That should be clear from this expression for the potential, right? So the charge you're really measuring, it's E bar. So that's the proper expansion parameter for your interaction, right? And this is already resummed of all the resummation of all these one loop diagrams, right? The one pi sum that we thought could be problematic, right? Because we're disregarding two loops, right? This came out naturally from the RGE equations, and here we have combined the expansion on the charge with the expansion of on these big logs, right? So as long as E bar is small, we have a well-defined perturbation theory, because we're truncating at the same time on both of these things, right? And it should be clear now from the renormalization group equations that that's the right way of approaching, because that's what really defines our potential, right? So this is the message for this video. I hope it was clear despite being really short and really dependent on the previous video. See you on the next one.